I was woken up early one morning by my neighbour, and she was firing her fingers in the air, and she told me that there was a revolution, and I shouldn't go to work. I shouldn't even go out. Of course, I thought she was mad. And so I did. I got up and got in my car and went into town. And sure enough, there was troops all over the place. And that was the beginning of the revolution. People were just everywhere. And not only were they everywhere, they were climbing up on tanks and armored cars. Nobody knew who these people were, this group of army officers who had staged this coup. I mean, even on the day we were asking, were they from the right, were they right wing or were they left wing? Nobody really knew. And Spinola, who was the supposed leader, he was certainly not left wing. He was one of the colonial generals, was quite renowned for not so good things. But on the other hand, there were other people there who were working class. And so there was very ambiguous.
Even though there was anxiety about what the coup actually meant, jubilant people started flooding the streets. Red and white carnations were in season at the time and being sold widely by women in the streets. So people started giving them to soldiers and putting them in the barrels of their guns and on their uniforms. Some media outlets credit restaurant worker and pacifist Celeste Cairo as the first person to do this, but there's not really any historical evidence confirming this, and the practice was extremely widespread. As a result, the uprising became known as the Carnation Revolution, and symbolised by red carnations.
That first week, which I described as the first chapter in my book, I was in and out of various demonstrations and various meetings of people in the streets. After the first week, the 25th of April was the 1st of May, which is kind of Workers' Day, and would normally be banned, but was just fantastic. I mean, there were 500,000 people out in the streets of Lisbon. People with red flags, all sorts of flags, I mean, Portuguese flags. I mean, there was just everybody there. There were people from the country, had been bussed in, young people, there were old people. And I described this, I remember describing an old man who'd been probably in his 80s. I thought he was going to have a heart attack. I will never in my life forget it.
Living in Paris at the time, Georges and his Portuguese friends heard about the revolution, and after just a few days decided to return home.
I must say that one of the first events that I will never forget was that when we took the train from Paris to Lisbon, and when we crossed the Portuguese border, well, in Spain, the Spanish police was of course very aware of what was going on, very on the observation of things, but they didn't intervene. They knew that a lot of Portuguese were coming back to the country, but they didn't intervene. And so when we got to the Portuguese border between Spain and Portugal, there was no more the political police waiting for people there. And they never, as they did before. They came in the train, they controlled people, they asked questions, eventually they arrest people. But so all these awful people had disappeared, and there was some army people in the border, young soldiers, because as you know, the Portuguese army, and that's part of that's an aspect of the Portuguese Revolution. The Portuguese army was not a professional army at that time. There are some professional corps, some professional institutions, but they were very limited. The majority was the population was dragged in the army to go to the war. So there was these young kids of the army that were in the border, and they get inside of the train, and they welcome everybody in the train. They said, "Welcome back to Portugal. And now we have freedom," and that was really very, very strong. For the train was of course full of people coming back for the revolution. So the way they greet us, it was really very strong, and in particularly when they came to where I was in my compartment, one of these young guys asked me, you were living in France? I said, yes, I was living in France. I deserted and I went to France because I didn't want to do the colonial war. And this young guy, he looked at me and he said, you have done the right thing. And that was something I will never forget till the end of my life, because it was a sort of a reconciliation with myself. It's not always easy to leave a situation, to desert a situation, to break with your family and break with your status and, start another life somewhere. And that was really very, very strong. I don't know where he is, this guy now. I hope he's still alive. But I really want to thank him for what he told me. So that was just an event like that.